Hi, I'm Lisa Haisha. Welcome to the Legacy Interviews. Today I have Veronica Diaz Carranza.
With the accent.
Yes, of course, of course. It's very exciting. She is one of my daughter's friends' mothers.
Yeah.
And we got a chance to get to know each other during playdates, and I kept learning more and more about her and Googled her, and I'm like, oh, she's so cool. Because one day my daughter came home and said, Mom, we got to watch this movie. She said, Jade's mom's in it. So she made me sit down and watch this movie, and I saw Veronica in it, and I was just cracking up. It was such a different character than the Veronica I know, and I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. I got to get her in for a legacy interview. So here she is. So hi.
Hi. So the Super Buddies, yeah, that was it, I think, right?
Yes.
Which was fun. Yeah.
How long have you been acting?
I started about 11 years ago. So, but when I was a kid, I started too. So when I was a little kid, I used to love plays. But I didn't actually start booking my first job until about eight years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did your parents put you in film or TV or acting classes?
My mom actually started pushing me when I was a kid. So then when I was a kid, we would do plays, and she would make me perform in front of her church.
What age?
Preschool.
Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
I know,
okay.
right?
Yeah. Did you enjoy it, or was it stressful?
I think I enjoyed it a little too much. Because when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I want to be that. I want to be that, and then I would want the main role. Like I did a Sleeping Beauty one. I still have the video of it, which is weird. My dad recorded it, and I still have it. And it's like I wanted to be Sleeping Beauty, even though I was one of the fairies. Mm-hmm. And I had probably the most lines, so it was good. Like I was excited. But it was one of the, ever since I was a kid, my mom would push me to doing that, and it was great. That's when I started. It's pretty young.
Yeah, that is young.
Yeah.
I think Ava's so talented, but she's like, not yet, Mom, when I'm 16. I'm like, want to try this? Like, no, not till I'm 16.
Yeah.
She's clear she wants to do it, but not till she's a teen. Did you ever have that kind of will, or you're saying, no, I'm ready, I know I want to do this, I want to just step out now?
I was always really scared, but I was always really excited when I did it. And then when as I got older, my parents just really couldn't afford it because it's a lot of work. Like, it's not easy. Like, your parents have to get you headshots and spend money on driving you everywhere. And we lived in Philadelphia at the time, mm-hmm. So it was like East Coast. And my mom would have to drive me all the way to New York for like auditions and stuff like that, which was
that's a commitment.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't think my parents had the time nor the finances to really keep pushing for that. So I would always want to do it. And I just figured when I get to a certain age and I can do it myself and I can work, then I'll do it myself. And I did. So at like 17, I started really pushing myself to do it. So it was good.
That's wonderful. So how do you manage, being, married and having a child and having a career? Because it seems like you're doing more and more work right now.
Not a lot of sleep.
Yeah. Does something have to give at certain times?
Yeah, sleep obviously is one of the biggest things. Mm-hmm. I used to be a caffeine addict, and I would drink a lot of caffeine, and that would get me through the days because I would just drink like a 5-hour one in the morning, and then I would drink another Red Bull, and I would quit doing that. Now it's just like I'm just working out more. But as I'm working out, as I'm at the gym, I'm on my phone or I'm on the iPad constantly, still like working. So I think my own personal time, I haven't gotten as much as I've wanted lately.
Okay, so when I look at you, I see this, beautiful woman who's an entrepreneur. I mean, you have an acting studio. You created your own career really there. You're an actress, a working actress. You're a mother, and you obviously are into self-care. You don't let that slide. So what challenges have you had in the past, and how did you overcome it? Because this legacy series is really about people watching this, looking and going, how did she do it? My life isn't so perfect, and I can never be where she is. Can you share maybe a story or something about your past where you did struggle and how you overcame it? And
well, before I started doing this, I would bartend. So I pretty much worked as much as I could. And in building the studio, it wasn't easy. Like we were very blessed. We lived in an apartment complex, and in the apartment complex there was a theater space that was at the bottom of the complex, which, you know, we didn't know how many students we were going to have. We didn't know what was going to happen. So most places you have to rent out like a whole month. But we found the opportunity. I was like, why don't we just rent out the space that was at the time $50 a day and be able to build word of mouth. And what we would do is, you know, he would work with other actors, and then they would bring their friends, and then another actor would come.
How did you get your first actors?
Through people that we knew, through other actors that wanted the same thing. And then we would bring professionals in. So we knew we were in the industry already for a while, working as actors, which that's a lot of work within itself. And a lot of it is just like being able to go through the nose and being able to accept, okay, she's too short, too tall, too young, too old, too pretty, not pretty, too ethnic, not ethnic enough. So going through that and just accepting, like, okay, well, the next one. And we got to build a relationship with people like casting directors, producers, other directors, writers, and we would just bring them in and they would watch our actors. And we were doing something that nobody else was doing. We were bringing it like live feeds, like the cameras, everything that we wanted. We said, this is what we want to build for other actors. And there was like a small group. It's probably like about 10 people. And some days it was really hard to eat and to pay our bills because we didn't have the finances.
Yeah.
So we both worked doing odd jobs. And then...
So how long did it take before it clicked?
About 2-3 years.
Okay, so how did you grow up? Were your mom and dad, you're obviously Hispanic.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
Hablo español. Soy puertorriqueña y nicaragüense.
Yeah, so were both parents?
My dad's Puerto Rican. My mom's Nicaraguan.
Okay.
My dad moved to the United States when he was young. So he doesn't really have an accent, so he speaks clearly. Like my mom, on the other hand, moved here after she was the age of 15. So she was about 16 years old when she moved here, so she still has a strong accent. And they had their struggles. Like my dad had to pretty much work. He had kids. His first child he had when he was 17 years old. So he's been working most of his life and taking care of his kids. He had 6 kids. My mom, on the other hand, had 2 with my dad. And she had to deal with, like, coming to a country where they didn't know any English and growing and figuring out, you know, herself. And she's into education. She, like, loves education. Till this day, she still goes to school. That's inspiring.
Terrific. Yes, absolutely.
So my mom was always very much like, go to school, always become educated, always have some goal. My dad was always the guy that would like be able to fix anything. Like I'd be like, Dad, they're like, I'm happy he's not a doctor, because whenever like something would break, I'd be like, he can fix it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My dad loved it. He's like, yes. Yeah.
So they divorced?
They did divorce.
Yes. And who did you live with?
When my parents divorced, I got very upset with my mom during that time because it was really hard, I guess, on me. And I ended up living with my dad. So she ended up moving to Florida. She went with my brother. And my dad and I stayed in Jersey for a while.
How old were you?
14, 15 years old.
Oh, okay, older.
Yeah. So it was... the funny thing is they were divorced for a while before I was told that they were divorced. So they were not, I guess my brother was like, you don't know, but we're leaving. Like, I was like, no, you're lying to me. He's like, no, they're divorced. I'm like, no, there's no way. Because they were still getting along, which I think is a good thing that my parents did that. They still got along. It wasn't like this harsh, you know. Nowadays, I'm sure she's like, you know, whatever. But at the time, they really thought about us and like didn't make it such a big spectacle. But I was still upset with her.
Are you close with your brother today?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not close at all, actually. Me and my brother, I think because we didn't get the opportunity to really grow together. You know, even when he was younger, he was, I don't know, we both think very differently in an essence. And I'm not saying he's wrong in the way he thinks. We just are two completely different people, and we just don't get along in that way. And I just never really felt that connection with him. And I think a lot of it had to do because we split, and really, like, he felt like he took care of my mom, and I felt like I took care of my dad. So it was kind of this,
Yes.
you know.
So I want you to talk, how does that affect you in your work? Because a lot of actors come from, you know, troubled backgrounds or challenging backgrounds. You know, divorce is very popular among them. Do you think you use that as strength to propel you forward or give you ambition? Like, did you look at your mom and go, even though I was upset with her and I chose to live with my dad, you still learned from her of education, and she really went after what she wanted? And
Yeah.
did you still try to take the positive from each parent? And
From my mom, I took her strength in a sense where my mom went to Florida by herself with nothing. You know, she really gained, she really didn't have the finances before she left. And then she learned how to do wigs. So she learned how to make wigs. So in a short period of time, and this is where her huge education is,
yes.
in the short period of time, she learned how to make wigs and started selling them, which got her the finances to actually move in I think it was like $5,000. So, and then that's all that she had. She didn't have a job down there. She didn't have any friends or family. She just knew in her heart that that's where she wanted to be. So she ended up going there, and that, for me, was always and I admired my mom because of her strength. Like, if someone would mess with me when I was a child, my mom would stick up for them. Stick up for me.
Yes,
she would be
yes.
like, "Don't touch my child." Yeah,
Very
I've seen her.
protective.
She's very protective, and my mom always had that strength. Even though I was upset with her, I still saw the strength that she carried.
Were you close to, are they both alive today?
Yes.
Are you close to both of them today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Me and my mom both would go like this a lot.
But there's a relationship. Okay.
But we have a relationship. Yes.
Okay.
We have I love my mom, dear. Yeah.
So what are you going through today that most actors would go through? Like, what advice do you have for someone who wants to get in this field or make a difference? What I'm seeing more now, and what inspired me, I just saw the movie Unbroken, you know, a pre-screening, and I love the idea that Angelina Jolie is trying to make more conscious films.
Yeah.
And really put it in our face of what's happening in the world. Do you find that that's happening more today? And if so, how do you fit into that picture? How do you choose roles for other people who want to get into acting? How do you think they should go about carving out their career or branding themselves?
With a lot of actors nowadays are, I think, and we do this in our studio as well, is that they like writing material for themselves as well. They write characters.
I love that you do that. Yes.
And I feel like you take more control that way because you can also speak about stuff that you feel strongly about, characters that you are inspired by, or life situations that you can bring about. And it's not, in our studio, it's about growing creatively. So they write their own material, they put it up, they get to work it out, and then we'll have like professionals come in and say, okay, this is what I would do with that. People that have been in the industry for a while.
Yeah, like my husband went and did one, I think.
Yes, he did. He did
Yes,
a phenomenal
yes,
job, by the
way.
way.
Okay, good.
He was phenomenal. And that's like having that experience for an actor who was also, you know, has these other aspects. But he was an artist. I mean, we're all artists, right? And want to write these great moments and be able to have that experience, to have someone that's been doing it for a long time be like, okay, that is interesting, or that's different, or I would change this and this, and they're like, yes, that makes complete sense, and then they grow. Like that's ideally, like in the end, what I would say for any artist is to kind of take control and of your own career and really see where you want to go with it. And just love it, man. Be just really passionate about it. Love it. Even in the hard times, you got to, like, because sometimes they're hard.
So what does it take, though? Walk us through a day or a week of what it takes to be an actor. Like, what is a typical week for you?
Typical week. Okay. Well, I don't know if mine's that typical. I have a daughter and a studio.
But like even for an actor,
the
like
acting
what do they
aspect?
need to do? Because I know.
Well, one thing is what we also push actors to do is self-submissions. So there's tons of websites that you can go to for actors that they start submitting. Here's the thing. Nowadays, it's really hard on actors sometimes to like get the series regular role on a network because they already have to have something else going on. Or if you haven't done anything, you have to build your reel. So making sure that your headshots are good, obviously, that they look like you, not someone else. So the minute you walk through the door, it looks nothing like you. Making sure that you're studying. If you're going to class once a week, you're doing the bare minimum. Like, you really have to be,
That's a full-time job.
Yes.
And
like
you're not acting. You've
really
got to do something. Yeah.
have to do something. And then during the day, you can do self-submissions. So on, I don't know if I want to say the websites, but
Sure.
there's a website, it's CAZT, and Breakdown Services is starting to do it now where they're putting out films and stuff like that. So everyone's getting an opportunity to be an artist and expose themselves. So like if they get a small short, do AFI theses films, do student films, do anything that you can just to get yourself the experience and B, the opportunities, because you never know who's actually doing them or you don't know who's going to see it.
Absolutely.
And causing those opportunities to just, help yourself out. I mean, we push that on our Wednesday classes. Like Max will sit there and be like, what did you do for your career today?
Yeah, that's wonderful.
What did you do for this week? What did you do? And the
Just
more
like you're saying,
actors,
just in your class, I don't want to
Yeah.
downplay it at all, but it's like a simple, basic, to a certain degree acting class. It's not Spielberg's class, but you're bringing in all these experts who could hire them.
Right.
So if they're not even in a basic class of just let me work, flex those acting muscles, they'll miss out on these opportunities of people you do bring in.
Yeah.
Because some actors I've heard say, oh, I don't want to go there because who's going to be in that class anyway? What do they know if they're not, if they're teaching, that means they never made it. I study on my own. Well, they're missing out not only on being arrogant, because maybe they are working and maybe they're, whatever life situations happen, but they're also missing out on all the people they're going to meet or other actors in the class because it's really about community.
It is community.
If you don't have community, you're missing a lot of opportunities just at that basic level.
It's true. And a lot of the actors that we work with, too, in the community, they help each other out.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, my God, call this person in. They're perfect for this.
What's the name of your school?
CM Acting Studio.
CM Acting Studio. How can people find it?
You can find it on the website. It's cmactingstudio.com.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Just for people who want to know, especially who are living in LA or not, drive up, come and take the class. If you're in Orange County or San Diego, you got to make the effort.
Yeah. We actually have people from Texas, a lot of people from Texas who come out, and you'd be surprised how many people it's really are inspiring artists that are coming out, and I feel like when they get to come in, they get to see like, oh, this is what I can do for my career versus like, what do I do now? Let me just, I guess, meet people or go on dinner dates. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true. I used to live across the street from Sandra Bullock when she did Speed. Right before she did Speed for 3 years, and then she got Speed, and then she moved. But when she was finished shooting that, I was talking with her, I'm going, aren't you excited? And she said, oh no, I'm going to go out of town because I think the movie's going to bomb. It's a really silly movie. And she left town, and then she came back a superstar. Yeah. But watching her those 3 years before she became Sandra Bullock, she was just Sandy, and she every Friday night had a play reading at her house.
Oh, nice.
And she said every day she went out and gave 2 people her headshot.
That's awesome.
Every day, a casting person, director, whoever, someone in the business. So 10 people a week, every week knew she existed.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great like benchmark of just, that's the bare minimum, going to acting class once a week. How many people did you give your headshot to each day?
Yeah.
How many classes did you do? How many plays did you read?
Yeah.
How many plays did you read with community? How many people are you bringing into your circle?
Build your own play.
Build your own. Yes. Write your own. I love that you're doing that, because once they start writing their own material, they start to know themselves better, I think. And I think that builds confidence also.
Yeah. And the other thing is, too, is there's no way you're going to learn how to act if you're not actually acting. Like, get on stage. Mm-hmm. It's the only way you're going to be able to do it. Because sometimes some people just sit and watch. Like, I'll watch. Like, that's... you have to actually go on stage, because that's how you start learning your own... This is your instrument. Yes. You start learning how to play your instrument. Because you're like, oh, this is what I do. Or, there's certain things about your body and the way it functions, and how you may stand, and how you may slouch, or certain things, how you connect to other characters emotionally. Like, all these things happen on stage, because anybody can do it in their bedroom in front of a mirror. I know some people are like, I was crying all day in front of a mirror. But then I get on stage and like, now you have to bare your soul.
Yes.
To an audience. You have to be vulnerable. It's like slitting your wrist, like, here's all of me, and there. Like, learning to do that is work.
And it's very different in the privacy of your home to a stage.
To put your vulnerability in front of everyone.
Yes, and you work with kids.
Yes.
My daughter's in your acting class when she was in town. So what's the difference of working with children at a young age compared to teenagers or adults?
I think kids, they love to have fun. they don't take it as, it's not as devastating, I guess. It's like they go in, they do it, and they have fun while they do it. And only if we as adults can do the same thing would be amazing. And some people do get to harness that, where they're like, okay, I got to remember, like, this is, I love doing this, I think kids are much more free at heart, and they're more connected with their emotions. I think as we get older, we start blocking. Mm-hmm. It's like, unblock. Oh, well, I don't cry. Or I don't... I had a friend who had to do a scene where the girl was a drug addict, and she couldn't connect. And I was like, well, why can't you connect to this person? And she's like, well, the reason why I can't connect is because my family member had a drug problem, and I blamed them. And so I can't connect to people like this. And I said, okay, let's take it back for a second. Imagine if that person at the age of 7 or 8 had something horrible happen to them, and the only way that they could escape reality was by doing drugs. And that's the only way that they could ever feel. And then they go through this torment, and now they're going through that. And finally she started connecting to where this character is and what she's going through, and then how hard it is to get herself out of it, and then how that within itself is, strong. If a person can get out of that situation of especially abuse, it's like drug abuse. It tears at your soul, and then finally she just started crying, and she understood. Because now there was that backstory, right? And everybody talks about backstory, building a backstory.
Backstory's important.
With a character, and then building, that moment before and what happens. And sometimes we just tend to judge by looking at the character. But these characters are real people. And that's my connection to the acting, is I always think this is a real person. This person went through something. Now I have to be able to see where they're coming from, versus like just judging it. Mm-hmm. Like, you cannot, as an actor, you have to learn how to not to judge, because eventually you might play that character. That might come to you, and then you'll feel it, and you're like, okay.
So were you ever a drug addict? Were you ever an alcoholic in any way? Did you ever hurt yourself? Or
I had a friend who, I casually drank. I think I was a caffeine addict. I used to smoke, and those things were really hard to quit.
But did you do any of those also to help you become an actor?
No, but I actually watched someone. I would watch people do it. I'd be like, well, let me see you do. I've never done cocaine, but I was like, let me see you do coke. Just because they're like, do you mind? I was like, well, never seen it done. So go ahead. It's fine. And then they were like, all right, so I'm going to do it in front of you or behind your back.
Right.
I was like, okay. But for me, I had a friend who had a drug problem, and it's a really, really hard thing to deal with.
It is.
And to be part of, especially when you care about that person so much. And I had a friend once who, I had two friends actually one who had a heroin addiction and another one who had a crack problem. And it was really hard for me during that time because you care about the person so much. And my friend was going through a withdrawal with the heroin, and they were just laying there on the floor, and it was just hours. And you're like, no, I'm going to stick it through with you. Like, just don't disappear. Like, just stick it out. And after a while, it's hard because you see how much pain they're in it. And part of you is like, God, I just want to give it, you almost feel like you want to give it to them just to make them feel better. You know what I mean? But you don't. You're like, no, okay, it can't. And the minute I fell asleep, they disappeared. And it was one of the most heart-wrenching things because we were doing good. We were going for a while, but only that person themselves can actually be like, okay, I'm done. I can't. It's hard when you love someone really and they're going through that.
Oh, absolutely. I remember starting in acting years ago. I just did it for a couple of years and quit. But some of the best actors were so fabulously insane. They just, one guy that I admired so much, who was the star of our class and I had to do a scene with, he would down like 2 bottles of wine before even coming. He'd drink a pint of vodka and he would drink milk from a animal bowl. And said this helps him get his animalistic feelings. He'd walk around like an animal and lap up milk. And he'd smoke. And he said, you got to do this. I'm going, okay. So I really tried to smoke so I could smoke natural on stage. And then I tried to drink. Okay, I've got to become an alcoholic. I really want this. So I tried to drink, but I couldn't drink. My body can't handle liquor. So I'm like, dang, I can't be an actor because I can't drink. And smoking, I was always, no, that's not right. I'm going, I'm just not equipped to go down that road, but I certainly tried because I thought that's the key.
This is it. That's
how I do it. Hold on. Yeah, I could do this. I could do this.
What else?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that because I'm not into pain, and to me that looked painful. Everyone says it burns. I'm not into shots or cut, so I couldn't do coke. So I said I'll stick with cigarettes. That's relative, and alcohol. And my stomach said, you're having none of that. It just didn't work for me, and I quit, one thing after another I quit, but the best people in the class all had these addictions that helped them. Maybe they stopped at some point. I know one decided to quit because he was going to kill himself and joined the Peace Corps, but brilliant guy. And, some of the other ones, ups and downs, whatever. Yeah. But I know that if you don't, I call those your imposters, but if you don't harness them, you'll eventually self-destruct and it will start working against you, whatever helped you initially get over the fear or have access to those parts in you.
Yeah. So it's in a lot of it, I mean, we see actors struggle with certain things and they have to kind of, I mean, honestly, like the reason why drugs and stuff like that, they help them or they feel like they help them in it is because it's unpredictable. Like you're just unpredictable.
Yes. And it gives you that freedom in your mind that...
And you're just like, all right, do whatever, and they have no restraints, obviously. But it's not like it's not... So eventually, it's not like it's something you can't learn without that. Like, you don't need it.
No, you don't. But it makes it easier sometimes for a beginner.
But it makes it easier.
Yeah. So what do you want your legacy to be?
I would love to, and you mean like what we leave behind, obviously.
Yeah, what do you want your legacy to be?
Obviously my daughter, no. But yeah, she's she's obviously an amazing, amazing little girl. And I watch her grow, and as I watch her grow, it makes my life seem more meaningful, because I'm like, oh, I'm giving you this.
Yes.
And then I can pass on and be fine. But also, what inspires me is artists and being able to grow artists and having that freedom and being able to have a place for people to do that. Like, that's been like the studio and the theater, and having a place for not only just other artists but for myself, because I study there too. So I find that is just being able to have that platform for other artists. And I hope to God that it just continues to grow, even way past my life. And having my daughter to be able to be an art, grow as well and do whatever she wants. She can do whatever. She doesn't have to be an artist. She can be a scientist.
Let go, Veronica. Let go. See that? She's got to be a star. She's got to be a star.
No, I mean,
it's fun watching her in acting class.
She's great. I know she is. She's and her. I do encourage science too. I'm all about science. I watched Interstellar the other day, and it was so inspiring to see, because I was like, oh wow, like she could find the cure for something, or help with all the problems that we're having right now. Find something. She keeps talking about developing flying cars. So I'm like, okay, that's good. Do that. Make sure there's no gasoline in it.
Right.
And she'll say, like, the air. It's like, we have to breathe better air right now. Now, this is coming from my child. So I'm like, how do you know this? And adults aren't thinking that way, buying huge,
Yes.
I get it. They look nice, but still, in the end, like, you want to have something to leave for your children.
So you want your legacy to be your acting studio, and having that be a vessel to help fuel actors to share their stories, and therefore healing the planet one story at a time, kind of deal. Yeah, and your daughter.
And my daughter.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this interview. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.